who would be able to understand what he had realized made his way and came across the 5 ascetics with whom he used to practice and whom he had left, and they were determined to not show him respect, but when he arrived they stood inspired by this glow of enlightenment that he was emitting, and they asked him to teach them what he had realized, and so he taught, and it is that we are celebrating today. Our dear friend Gareth Sparham is visiting and very kindly consented to talk to us this evening. Gareth.
Obviously, Rinpoche should be the one talking. Goes with that.
He's talking. And Gareth has, after having completed his studies at the Buddhist School of Dialectics in Dharamsala, gone on to translate a whole series of perfection of wisdom teachings, sutras, commentaries, Indian commentaries, and the great Golden Rosary commentary by J. Tsongkhapa. So we are honored, and he also translated one of the most inspiring teachings, which was a series of daily meditations on bodhicitta that Kunulama Rinpoche jotted down, and this book, which is called Deep as the Ocean, Wide as the Sea, is that?
I believe that's how they translate.
Is a very beautiful and inspiring book.
Vast as the sea, something. Vast as the heavens, deep as the sea.
Vast as the heavens.
I was switching around.
So we are honored to have
Wonderful.
Gareth here, and so we will first read the prayers, and then we look forward to Gareth's.
By the force of the blessings of the non-gracious
If I don't speak loud enough, please tell me. It's not just an honor, it's a tremendous pleasure to be here. A tremendous. I feel I'm amongst, not just amongst friends, but amongst special friends, sure. In 20 years ago, I was a monk, and Chongla Rinpoche says, we just were reciting, it's incredibly special to have a proper person to teach, right? In that sense, I remember back to those days when I was here, and it gives me great pleasure. So today is, within a sacred year, a very special day, because, as Rinpoche said, it commemorates, is the time when we went back to that place where he had been, this is the Buddha, the awakened one, having awakened, went back to that place where he had been engaged in meditation and austerities. And then these people said, tell us then, because he looked really special, tell us, what did you awaken to, you know? And so the first words that he spoke, the words which are commemorated today, right? And they've lasted a long time by any ordinary way of thinking. Never mind the extraordinary ways, just by our ways of thinking. You'll find them conservatively 2,000 years ago, which is quite a time. So they didn't just get thrown out in the rubbish heap. And so I think he said something like this. This. Now this. He must have said something like that. This. And of course what he was talking about there, because this, you don't know what what's referring to. Everybody knows it's suffering. But he said, this is suffering. And he also, of course, said, noble. We usually say noble truth. So I think probably it's this for let's say noble, which is an old word. It's a loaded word in English. So noble. This, still don't know what it is, right? This. That's what he must have said to them. I believe so. But he didn't just say, suffering. He said, this. For a noble person is suffering. Of course, the word suffering. And this. And that is what today, the beginning, that appears, what he said to them. And then it's famous. Into the mind stream of Kaudinya, is it? Into the mind stream of one of the five, turned the wheel. Turn, this notion of turning has a lot of meanings, right? In essence, went forth, let's say, from the knowledge, came into that listener's mind stream. This, our noble being, is suffering. When he finished, he was on, as we say, the path of vision, the path of seeing. Probably achieved the state of personal nirvana, that same day. So then, just a little while ago now, I started playing golf. And I started playing golf because I live part of the year in a suburb. So I'm not putting it down. It's just that you're always in the car. You're never walking. New York is fascinating. You walk here. It's one of the few places in North America where you walk. Otherwise, you can't really walk so much. You can walk to the store, but you don't walk. So I started playing golf to get some exercise. I've never played it in my life before because there's an inexpensive golf green up the freeway. And I had never taken any lessons. And I was swinging for the rafters. And I really hurt my arm. And I didn't realize that because I'm relatively lucky. My birthday was, we're in July, right? Maybe a couple of months back. And I achieved the lifespan, 70 years and 10, right? 70. But of course in our minds, I don't think we ever get to do it. Right?
You're still
I mean, you don't get old. You know, I don't get old. Right? God knows what happens to me, but boy, when you start swinging at 70 and you don't know what you're doing, you really begin to hurt. You really do begin to hurt. And of course you hurt when you're younger as well. And the hurt goes away usually. Right? It goes away. I mean, sometimes you need, you know, if you break your leg, you get a cast, but often it just goes away. It seems that's what it's called, anabolic steroids or something. The doctor was telling me. That's what, you know, the big issue is. You immediately repair the damage with those skills. So you can do that repairing more quickly, but we just repair. We do repair. So this, for a noble being, is suffering. And it's very hard, I think, to get our mind around what the this is. Because there's suffering in the world. That's not the issue. It goes without saying. And then you think, you know, that's why I'm very moved to see. I remember last time, people who passed away, put the names here. Just so happened, you know, I've not seen this member of my family 45, 50 years. My mother's 97. I call her up every day. And she said, you know, Malcolm was his name, bless him. He had his funeral today. He had his funeral today. I called up his wife, who I've not seen for 55 years. It's a lovely thought, isn't it? But I'm only talking about how my arm hurts. And the thing actually doesn't get better. It actually doesn't get better. And we say, yeah, but you can fix it. Yeah, take a cortisone shot. And then there's these wonderful people who are amazing physiotherapists. And then you get very old. And you have to be incredibly careful when you're that old. It's unbelievable how careful, you know, I mean, it's my incredibly good fortune these last few days to be talking with Rinpoche. Rinpoche's body is unbelievably old. It is unbelievable to see a body so old. So old, it's just absolutely staggering. I mean, nowadays, I'm 70. You know? I'm feeling really good. You know, I'm more careful now. The other thing I did, you know, I was on a lawn. These people came down from Seattle. There was the little boy who was only like 9. And it was a lawn, you know, where they have the sprinklers that come up and then go in and come up based on the time. And he loved soccer. And so, you know, throw a sock, like running in, because mentally, and I had my ankle. It still hurts. So this, for a noble being, is suffering. It's not putting anybody down. And it's also, I think for us, or for me, is how we put it together with unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, leave us out. Talking with Ken Rinpoche coming down. I'm not a good teacher. I'm a hassle. So I was hassling Ken Rinpoche. We were coming down here about more complex and less complex forms of life. So we're an incredibly complex life form, right? Leave us out. It's too complicated. We're into a really little, I don't know, if you look as a scientist, just the unbelievable thing going on in that form of life, looking at it from the point of view, say, of the genetic structure, which allows it to be what it is, it's still so phenomenal to put that together with the truth that's come down for 2,000 years at least and remains in human society as somehow to be investigated for our personal benefit and the benefit of the society's benefit. This, for a normal being, is suffering. So Malcolm, bless him, I don't know if they buried him, I don't know if they burned him, I don't know what they did with him. I do know that his wife, who I've not seen for 55 years, I've not talked to for 55 years. And my mum was 97, she said, "Did you call?" And I remembered my call. I said, "Well, thank you very much." And you could hear in her voice, that slight tone where you get. When a person, even though he'd been sick for 6 years before, it's so hard to look after a person who's not there, still, now it's not there. And that what do you call that? Is it an emptiness? Just the absence. So this, for a noble person, not out there. As I say, you'll forgive me if I whiz off here, but if you're meditating, you have to have an alam. You have to have an alam. That's essential. My Sanskrit teacher said, think of cherries or apples, something which has a stem, something that it hangs from. And the thing that it's the stem that something hangs from, that's the alam. You have to have an alambana for your meditation. So when it is this is suffering, what you're talking about, and you keep in mind when you're thinking about it, what you keep in mind that makes it all hang together, that's your alambana. So what are we talking about? What was the Buddha saying? Such that, I think it's Kandinya, is it? I forget. He had 5 disciples. I forget their names. One in particular. Right on. Wow. Bing, thinking, right God. He didn't need to meditate. He immediately, from hearing those words, said, I see what you're doing. Others, like us, but we need the alambana. What was he talking about with the this? That it's all hanging. He's talking about something. And so there are many ways to talk about it. For me, just getting older and seeing others getting older. It's just so odd to not. I can't understand why my ankle and my shoulder don't get better. I never had that problem. I've had all sorts of problems. And you expect to kind of go back. I mean, okay, cryonics maybe, far be it from me to say. We could cut our head off, stick it in the freezer, come back in 5,000 years, maybe. Wonderful, or I'm not sure it's wonderful, but whatever. But at least as we stand now, looking at ourselves, so we're definitely this is, I think we all know that the vision, what comes into your mind, is called selflessness. How you get there, what's there, you can't just leap to a train. This, for a noble person, is suffering. And you have to keep your alambana. It's not that you have to focus on it, but you have to know what you're talking about. And you're talking about yourself. You're talking about yourself. You have to know what you're talking about. This, for a noble person, is suffering. He's not being negative. One man, on the spot, found unending freedom and well-being. It didn't like disappear from the face of the earth and whiz off or something, because the Buddha, when awakened, walked back then. He had not whizzed off the face of the earth. I mean, there are many other ways to talk. But here, with the turning of the wheel of the Dharma, this is the teaching. I only would say, let's just think of those two. I mean, there are many, many, many ways to think about oneself in this tradition. And when I say think about oneself, not in the sense that one's searching for the I, one doesn't find it, not like that. No, just sitting here, being told, as this person walks across the jungle, really, into this place, and says, this forever will be is suffering. Never mind the mental world, which is sometimes so troubling for us. Just your physical world. So you take one of the most amazing things. We look at each other here. You look at the door, you look out the window, you look up, you take in the whole room. It's kind of like square, goes up, goes left or right. Got a sense of space. Leave those out for a second. You got your eyeballs in your middle of your head, because that's what you're talking about, oneself. They're operating right now. You look around, it's colors. That's what's happening right now. Whole spectrum. Spectrum, right now, has nothing to do with you. You don't need to be there. It's going to all do just fine without your inner mental world. You don't need to have that whole thing that's inside. That is as close to yourself, they say, as you'll ever get. What's going on with, you go into your eyeball, you go down the optic nerve. It's not pretend. It's not just some like religious thing. This, for a noble being, is truly suffering. What? I'm kind of whizzing here. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form. That's the colors. No eye, eyeball, optic nerve. My friend says that now in neuroscience, you don't make the eyeball with the eyeball, but the eyeball, the optic nerve, you don't make it different to the brain. In other words, in people or organisms like ourselves, the eye is understood as the brain. It's actually not separated from the brain when you talk about it. The ear and so forth is, the eye is such a complex, developed thing that it's better to think about it as an extension of the brain. The whole spectrum. That's what's happening. That's what it says. There you are. This. So it's very difficult to keep oneself in mind as one looks at oneself, seeing what's actually going on. I mean, that's actually what's going on here. So the Buddha said, this, for a noble being is suffering. When you study it, what's the this? 5 skandhas. What's the first skandha? Physical. What's the first thing in the physical? The eye. That is the explanation of suffering. That's berserk. It's the most incredible development that you could possibly imagine. The development of a human eye, the development of a brain. It just seems so absolutely berserk to describe suffering. And the first part of suffering, that a person would walk through a jungle and say to 5 guys who he was doing ascetic things with before, this is suffering. And he wasn't interested in our minds at that point. You know, this whole inner world that we have. He was interested in what's called the dharmas, the things which are there. Because dharma has a lot of meanings, right? Here, dharmas, in this, it means the eye, the ear, you know, the whole. You know, it's said in the scholastic texts that when you become awakened like a Buddha, it's, no, that's right. I think maybe it's easier to get a proper awakening to the ultimate truth than it is to understand the I. Iwa. It says that in Buddhism, right? Just think about it. To understand that part of the skandha, the first part, when it says 4. I mean, you break it down, and later on it'll say, no I, and so on. But that's what it's talking about. It is said in the Buddhist texts that it is more difficult to, only a Buddha, it said, only a total utter Buddha could ever tell you what's going on in your eye. As we sit here right now. So your alambana, it's hanging off you. Because when you're talking about your eye, that part of your brain developed, not some theoretical thing. Each of us, perhaps one thinks, sits here without a brain, maybe. Far be it from me to say, that's what you believe. I think it's a particular religious thing. Indeed, many people say the problem with Buddhism is not really a religion. Fine. It would seem we all sit here with a brain, right now. Even though we don't have any thought of that at all. We're not looking at reality. We're tied up in this huge thing. This. And you keep in mind what matters, the human being, which is what the Buddha had in mind. And just thinking about that brings peace, right? Never mind anything else. Just think. There's a whole spectrum of colors. And with all this huge inner world that we bring in here, with all our problems, whether you're the most incredible religious being, or you're just totally caught up in the most terrible addictions and so on, really a lot of difference, right? Not really a lot of difference. You're sitting there with your highly developed brain coming out in your eyeballs. And that's what's happening. That is what the Buddha said. Never mind all the other great religious things. You look at reality. Never mind all the theories of the world. Never mind all the people philosophizing. Never mind the people arguing. Never mind this and never mind all of that man in that part of the jungle and this person in that part of the jungle and this person and that person. Just look at the reality. This is suffering. So the suffering is dukkha. It doesn't really, the English word, you need a word, right? When we say suffering, it doesn't, what do you mean, your eyeballs? It's like, okay, no, that's not what it means. That's not what he was getting across. Right? But there's no religion in it. You can go on to each of the others. Your ears. It's mind-boggling. You know, what's going on with us? I mean, it's this colossal thing you can. I mean, it doesn't matter how much religious work you do. It can be the Dalai Lama, the Buddha, it can be anyone. They're going to be there with their eyeballs. They're going to be there with their ears. They're going to be... I mean, you know, the skin's interesting. The fifth is the skin. I mean, it's a hard one to put. You say, I can understand my eyeballs, I can understand my ears, okay, I can smell these, taste these, the tongue. Right? You kind of think, well, what about my, you know, then they kind of lose you with the skin, right? Skin doesn't feel like your eyeballs. I can see what you mean. You know, there's the, what do we call these things? The whole spectrum. Yeah, okay, you know, I kind of heard something about that, you know, something about a spectrum of colors, and that's actually the phoneme, what's called the phonemes, where the photons coming in, and somehow that's how you get the colors, and you know, they go down that optic nerve, and it's terribly complex in there, you know, but we're learning so much about it, and it's true, because in the Buddhist text it says, it's harder to understand that than it is to understand and truly understand emptiness. The complexities of what's going in there, it's only an omniscient being really could ever understand. I mean, an omniscient in the final omniscience. Unbelievable what's going on. Ears, yeah, I can understand that. There's what do you call it? The hammer and the anvil. And you know, but fundamentally it goes down another nerve, and it's, you know, so you have these senses, and that's going on right now in me. All of whether I'm doing well or not doing well, you know, you want to be of some value and you're not of value, and you've tried and you've not succeeded, or maybe you think you have succeeded, or whatever's going on in our heads. Let it go on. There's still just a reality which you can just deal with it yourself, right? You can just go back. It's going on. You don't have to say, I am going to think about my mind, or I'm not going to think about my mind. That's what he said. That's what the Buddha said. That's why it lasted 2,000 years. You know, no matter who you are, trust me. As far as I know, he was sitting there with a brain which can be described as having to be developed, or you could, you know, in the old days, they didn't use the same words, it was the same thing. And, you know, the complexity of them they knew. So you get to the skin. It's really hard. You get to the skin, right? You know, your skin covers you, right? That's really hard to keep the eye on. To keep the thing the cherry's hanging on. What the heck are we talking about with the skin? Because you're looking at yourself. You're so close into yourself. You know, you can't get any closer into yourself than where your optic nerve goes back to, right? When you go back into your optic nerve, you head down the optic nerve, wherever that baby goes. You know what I mean? You're going to get any closer to yourself? You go down in your ears, you get in there, you can talk about emptiness and the self and this and that, and I'm looking for the... But you're fine. But, you know, these are the basic Buddhist things. The first turning of the wheel of the Dharma. 2,000 years, nobody is quibbling about this or that. This is just absolutely first thing he taught for us. Who knows what they might do in other words. So, the skin. I was thinking these last few days, I've been having a lot of problems with you folks. You know, a lot of work. You know, you're getting older. He doesn't need to be getting older. You know, you've been doing a lot of stuff, working towards something. Maybe it's starting to have a bit of success and it's starting to collapse. Well, you've got some success and it's really roaring. Part of you, somebody you know, you care for deeply, whatever. There you are. You have a problem. So I've been having a lot of problems. You know, you're working your butt off. You're giving meaning to your life. And after a while, the stories ain't going to work for you, trust me. At the end of the day, you might as well listen to what the Buddha said when he first taught. This, for, let's call it a lucky people, okay? This for a lucky person is suffering. And you just think, you don't need everything else in your life. You don't need any meditations. It's not easy though, to somehow keep yourself in mind and look at your eyes going on. You might be able to do it. Okay, I kind of see what you mean. I am here. My eyeballs are going back into my brain. The whole thing's working. You know, there's these, what do you call them? Spectrum of colors. Okay, yeah. What am I supposed to think? I don't know. Oh, it's just that. In other words, yeah, that's real. Okay, am I supposed to think? Am I supposed to meditate here or something? No, take it easy. Take it easy. No meditation, nothing like that. I'm just trying to do the basic thing the basic Buddhists did, which somehow kept going on for 2,000 years. They get a Gelu, or they don't care if they're Theravadas, they don't care if they're Zens, they don't care who the heck they are. Just didn't give some basic Buddhism here that I can somehow lasted for 2,000 years. There you are. This suffering, Four Noble Truths. There, okay. Eyeballs, you know, I mean, you definitely use your knowledge. We have so much more knowledge now of the eye sense, right? You use it, and then you really see what they were talking about. Wow. I mean, you know, that goes in deep to who I am. So that's the alama, who I am. But you don't want to get lost. That's just so you don't just be talking about all sorts of things and you don't know what you're talking about. You've got one other philosophy going. Who cares about that? It's got to be affecting. So the skin, feeling. So it's, well, it was hot. I said, no, it's not far. I forget where we walked from. Well, I know we walked down Bleecker Street. It's in West Village. I don't know New York well. I figured, oh, excellent. People asked me where I was. I said, the West Village. Oh, walking down Bleecker Street. Oh, yeah. I think we stopped in an ice cream shop. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. It was so hot today, right? Well, you wouldn't make it. I don't know where we walked from. Up near Columbia or something. It was hot. So, what's that? It doesn't have a lot to do with me, any more than the spectrum has to do with me. But the problem is, at this point, it's becoming hard to somehow keep the alambana from being the whole thing. It's me. I'm hot. It doesn't feel like skin, whatever you want to call it. But there's something there, right? Just in a biological organism, whatever you want to call it. That, I don't know the science of it. Does anybody know? Heat? What happens then? That something's happening. You aren't seeing anything, you aren't hearing it. And then I was thinking the other day, if somebody, you know, when you see these little children and things, or a dog or a cat, you know, they have soft parts of it. That softness, you know, so you go like that, you feel it too. So it seems that, I'm not sure, you know, I just don't know enough Abhidharma. This is called Abhidharma. If you go like that, you can definitely get the idea. You have the sense organ, if you will, you know, the eye. That's just one part of your skin. But when it's hot, or when you get in a bathtub, and you feel it's water, as distinct from the air blowing, that's a little bit more difficult, isn't it? You know, trust me, these are the ones they use. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body. So that's what that was taught. And then, if you want to play with it just for a moment, we shouldn't lose track today. How's time doing here?
8:30?
So
Yeah.
I'll stop in a moment then.
No.
Then maybe have a discussion, questions, whatever. I mean, the human being, me, I'll just call him me, is that okay? Because it always is a help for me to think, you try as hard as you can. You to tell the stories that you want. This, for the lucky person, is suffering. I mean, I didn't ever to trust me, you know what I mean? Or when you see, good people, ordinary people, just old age. Old age has nothing to do with your head, trust me. I know we're obsessed with what's going on in the person's head, do they have dementia or don't they have dementia and this and that. Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's something the matter. Leave that one out. Leave that one out. Whether it's there or not, leave it out. All those anxieties that come, that we have, in that one, leave that out. Just look at what's saying here. Just try to go through it. The skandhas are more difficult, right? The basic one, he said, is these 5 skandhas. I got to admit. You know what the 5 skandhas are? I mean, you can tell me, you got a good feeling when they talk about skandhas? You're skandhas. Oh yeah, I got you right on. At least your eyeballs on that. That part of that whole talk. When eyes are the first part of the first skandha. You're just simply breaking down skandhas. It's all about suffering. It's all about suffering. All about suffering. Suffering. Oh, if you can get suffering bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and huge. So it's so huge there is no place you can't see. Your nirvana is getting to be worth half more. Your nirvana is from suffering. The smaller your notion of suffering, the smaller your nirvana. The bigger your notion of suffering, the bigger your freedom. So I'll finish here then. You forgive me? I'm talking to myself. At a certain point, you need something which is easy, which is real, which is the Dharma, Dharma in this sense, which it's not the, what you call it, Tattva is called, and Vikalpa. There's so many words in Indian language. They're the constructions of human thought, or the whole thing inside us, which we can get tied up in. It's going on. You don't care how important it is, how incredible an edifice it is, and they are incredible edifices. I'm not putting them down, just for me anyway. It's so complex. Sometimes it's incredible. Your work is well received. You feel you have some benefit, or at least the people around you. You feel that you can do something for them, or that your life has meaning. You're going towards something. And all of a sudden the whole thing collapses around you. I can't be bothered with it. I need something real. I need something real. This, and you're back at your eyeballs. You're back at your ears. You're back at your tongue. You're back at your nose. The skin is more difficult. If you think about it, there's a lot to talk about with the skin. Because that one's there, even before all the others have formed. As we're, if you do it in the sense of a developmental psychologist, that's one way. We're talking about Piaget and the development. of the inner world of the child. But then also, there's just the physical part of us. I mean, if you don't think you're physical, you got problems. Trust me. You're whizzing around, or I am anyway. You stub your toe, you stub yourself. That happens. Your mind starts to atrophy, you atrophy. Your shoulder doesn't work, you don't work. You can't hit the ball. So, the skin. I'll leave you with the skin. What did Aryadeva say? All of the others are embedded in the skin, something like that. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, and your tongue. They come with the skin. Why? Because you're just a tiny little thing. Because talking in terms, not with this huge mental thing we have. Throw that out. Just talking about who you are with the Almanda. You're just talking in a very dispassionate way. Well, there aren't any eyes, there aren't any ears, there aren't any of these things. You say, well, I ain't there. That's fine, there's no big issue. I might not be here now. But one thing's for sure, there's something physical there. There's a form skanda, as you say, using the old Indian stuff. And probably there's some sentience there. Who knows what kind of sentience it is? Leave that out. It's complex. It needs to be looked at, no doubt. But just take the physical suffering. So I leave you with the skin. And with my dear old cousin Malcolm, who I've known for 55 years, who today, at his funeral, as many others, all around us, never mind just us as humans, so many creatures, the life forms which live less than us. We have 70 or 80, 90, 100. Others, 4 months is it, 3 months is it? I think there's some 6 weeks, some 13 years, some 18 years, some 20 years, all kinds of life forms. As life forms, in that sense, you can see how you feel for them all. If you could teach them, I'm sure that Buddha would have taught them all. And he said, this, for a noble being, is suffering. So, thanks so much. Maybe we'll have a discussion about it.
This is 20 years ago. Yes, it's you 20 years ago.
Oh.
That's it. You can have that.
Thank you so much. Good God. Oh! I was very fortunate to know John Rinpoche. It's incredibly fortunate for my favorite person. I've known so many tremendous people who taught me so much. Just deep. And who knows why, but you really have such an admiration for someone. Tremendously. Tremendously. Now, a body. Say you're the Buddha. We should look at it. There's many ways, many different traditions which will explain. But for somebody like me who's, I love to think about it, but sometimes I just need something for my own heart, just to get through life. And then you look, tremendous being, John Rinpoche. Look at that body. 94 and the Buddha. To lay down in Kashakas, very elderly. This, for a truly lucky person, is suffering. Not sadness, not something to be sad about. No. Something to learn from the Buddha. And through the thousands of years, people must have benefits. So it's the best I can do. Thank you very much. This is very special for me, even to be here. So And indeed, no, I shouldn't be here. Talking. There we are.
Gareth, you used to describe Rinpoche a couple of times. He's Chagya. He's Chagya.
Chaja. Chaja.
Chagya.
Chaja.
Yeah.
Well, no,
That's
I'm
not the
like, my
same
Tibetan's
as
not very good.
sign.
Yeah, but it's an interesting one because I was a fake.
Same word, is it?
Well, I was a fake one. When I finished my PhD, it was too complicated. You know, maybe I'd get a good job in the university, or maybe I wouldn't. And then I got this what was it called? I can't remember. Some sort of Canadian government thing where I went to the University of Madras. And through a number of things, I ended up in the mountains, up above Dharamsala. And Chadro. And I remember saying to a really fine Tibetan Lama, I think I'm going to do Chadro. And I remember saying, I can't look after you. In other words, a lot of people, it's like, you're paying for me now. I'm going to go and meditate. So that means you pay the shot. So I was supposed to get great, but I can't pay for you. And I went up there. And so I was a fake one. So Chadjal is what you call a hermit, right? Or a
Hermit.
but that doesn't really do it. So cha is basically means busy. You know, busy. Got a lot of stuff on my plate. That's cha. It's the sort of, how to say, you know, you have a verb, I am doing, and then you have the object of the verb, what's being done, so that's cha. You know, work, action, or something, right? And hence, you know, when you're busy, that's the busy. So chajal, free from the busy. Now, if you, that's actually, if you spell it, it's B-R-A-N, okay? You know, it would be, if you spelled it out in Tibetan, that would be Baya Bajral. Okay, Baya Bajral. Maybe up in Ladakh they might even say Baya. Now, it so happens that in the Lhasa dialect, if you have a kind of, let's call it a slight nasalization, kind of sound maybe, and then you have a B-R-E-L, it means you're caught up in it. It sounds almost exactly the same. So it's chadrel and chadrel. So chadrel mare, chadrel re, you know, means you're not chadrel, you're chadrel. It means you're not a hermit, you are totally caught up in worldly life. So I had a lovely life. And I was again, chadrel mare, chadrel re, you know. You're not a hermit, you're just totally caught up in the world. You would already say. Now Rinpoche, he lives in New York City, still basically lives in Greater New York. Now that is surely chadhel, that is caught up.
But he's not.
You know, like things you've got to do. I mean, and you just, you know, but no, Rinpoche, within, I mean, is there anything busy? I mean, New York is the absolute perfect kind of symbol of a city where things are really going on. I remember an old lama said, I put my head on my pillow on the 48th floor in New York and I can hear the city. It's really bustling. And so that's chadhel, you know, connected with work, connected with activity. So within that, Rinpoche is chadhel. He is hurt. You know, to get the words is hard to find. Now that is the most respected thing in Tibetan society. That is a person who, it doesn't mean he's not in New York, he's not doing everything. But I guess the closest we have, he brings peace and detachment with him where he goes. And most of us to even have a try it, head off by yourself and fail. Terrible, you know. You come back like me, you know what I mean? But you try. So it's hard to convey that, isn't it?
That's what he is.
Because Rinpoche lived, you're still very careful. If you're not careful with your work, you cannot do. That's why, you know, you can't Rinpoche. Just look is to give peace, because this is Sangha. Just to look is to give peace, right? Because there is the making it easier for yourself. Making it easier for yourself. Being lucky. It's not that you're being mean. To say that Kawana Rinpoche, that people are mean is not true. It's not true. It's not true. To be happy does not mean that you're mean. To find deep, unbelievable well-being does not mean you're being mean. Quite the opposite. You bring well-being and peace where you go, right? It's incredibly hard to get when you're in the difficult complexities of our lives. Rinpoche, it's incredibly hard to navigate. One's admiration becomes tremendous admiration. So let's check it. I think.
So how's your shoulder?
I go out, but you've got to get exercise, right? And I've just seen this little video of Lama Kunga in, I think it's Lama Kunga, right? An old friend of Rinpoche, Lama Kunga, I think it's called. He lives out there. And when I was having a friend of mine in Boston, I actually got out, I started a year ago, less than that. He immediately sent me this link to Lama Kunga, going down a golf course. And it seems he had a student who was a pro golfer. I said, I'll teach you how to do it. And then in this video, Lama Kunga is saying, I feel like a pitcher. And all the knowledge is being poured into me, you know, his students teaching him, because you got to do this, you keep your eyes down, you know, all these things. So I got to teach him. Oh, I haven't had to be a teacher for so long. It's just such a pleasure, you know, to have new gurus come into your life. Kevin Crouch. I took 6 lessons. I've only done my long game. Oh, it was tremendous. He said, no Elvis. You know, you can't do the Elvis. You move your hips too much. He said, my father said to me as I was a little boy, enough of the Elvis, okay? Because I was moving my hips too much. Well, I've always been a terrible student. I tell you, you know, I don't know anything about Guru devotion, how to do it. That I don't know. I have my own translation. You have to forge a relationship with a spiritual friend. It's extremely difficult to do because we don't forge relationships. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but there's complexities in a society where the traditional, I don't know in good or bad sense, because of the complexities of the world we're in, relationship is a very difficult thing for us to negotiate. And so to forge a true, good relationship with a spiritual friend is absolutely the bottom line. It is absolutely the bottom line. And you know, you're very careful with it. You know, you're careful. Any relationship you're careful with, right? Very careful forging out. But you know, like all things, there's humor too. Right? So I can't describe. So I've had 6 lessons, and then I left. You know, when we left at the beginning of May. And he said, when you get back, because this is California, amazing. When you get back, contact me and we'll work on your short game. Oh God, sorry. But it is, I tell you, it's almost impossible. I used to think I could do sports. I mean, after all he's taught me, every time I go out, you know golf, you go out on the golf course. And Lama Kunga saying, I feel like a pitcher. He is pouring his knowledge into me. Kevin Crouch poured his knowledge into me, but trust me, I go out, I can't hit that thing no matter what. I top it every time. You keep your head down. I've got it all in my mind what I'm supposed to do. You know, I can hear and talk. Makes no difference. I just cannot hit that. Or if I do, you know, and then there's the whole notion. You put it all in your mind. You go that way, the Zen way. You might hit 1 or 2 shots, but trust me, it's. But I'm going to work on my short game. I can't wait. There's nothing like a teacher teaching you something. It is just. It is so pleasant. And you know, it doesn't matter if the teacher's useless. One is so useless yourself, you can learn so much, right? I mean, you know, to look at the faults. So I was just thinking of that. No, you thinking about thinking about getting a chance or immortal behavior, which is so my shoulder will never get better. But that doesn't. What would it mean to get better? I don't feel any problem again. You know, I mean, it's not that there's something I feel. I'm just so surprised. Just so surprised. I'd never really come to, did not come to terms with that. I never understood it. It had nothing to do with me. You know, but trust me. It starts not to go back to how it always was. It is fascinating. It's still incredible. You know, I mean, it's still incredible. Scientifically, it's incredible. Like, you know, some people might say it's not so pretty or something. You know, so be it. It's still incredible from a scientific point of view. But, you know, from that, looking from the inside, wow, you know, suffering of old age, that's not some theoretical thing. And they even have some mental thing involved. I really don't know about that. That is too complicated. Physically. It's not something to be sad about. That's not the notion of talking about suffering. Oh no, it's just, it really has nothing to do with you. You're totally detached. I mean, it's not a big issue to do with you, right? The fact that this thing that one is ages. Trust me, it does. From the moment, as the Buddhists like to say, that you're born. It's called the Munjo Sipa. Munjo Sipa means the one, what's it called, the Sipa? The time, you know, the four Sipas, existences. This is called the prime existence. When does it start? From the one instant, which is the Kemisi, instant of conception. That's one. And then the instant after that is called the prior existence. Prior to what? The one instant of death. So we're in the prior existence. Which?
Prior time.
Prior time, yeah, Sipa, you know, like Sipa order. Yeah, the existence. Yeah, I'm going to so important. You keep yourself in mind. You're so important. You know, one is so important. You never put yourself down. In His Holiness, all of us, everyone is the same, looking for happiness. Everyone's the same, trying to get rid of their body. That's us. That was incredibly important. So when you're looking at this, it's oneself. Ninjutsu. First of the three principles. So, three basic meditations. This is the first basic meditation. Ninjutsu. What do you know for that? Ninjutsu.
Renunciation.
Yeah, it's hard to get the feeling. You've got to make it huge. You need to find what we're calling suffering. You've got to look at this and expand it as far as you can go. That, then, is ninja. Yeah. And then the second one, all this first achievement.
Gareth, did you ever meet the Kuno Lama or he was passed before?
No, I met a lot of bed bugs.
Never the Kuno.
A huge amount of bed bugs. I never was a very, who knows what baggage you bring into life, right? And my own baggage, I'm sure as much as most of us, you know, complex baggage. So mine was, first of all, very simple. My grandmother on my mother's side. Okay. Her husband, he did go to some church somewhere. She would never be caught dead herself. And when they somehow seemed, from her perspective, to have not properly treated him right when he went off to North America for 6 months and he came back and wasn't given a high position, that really should tie a thing. Religion. So that's baggage I'm carrying. But then I become a Buddhist monk, God knows how, kind of thing. There we are. And then here I'm in Dharamsala. Well, there's some guy who's supposed to be good. I don't even know who he is. I don't care. This was courage. Towards the end of his life. Up the road he was in Chopin, in Walsall. And some of the people from the school, it was maybe 73. I'd only been there for 6-7 months. But I was just, and stayed there for 25 years. Some of the people were going up there. I thought, like some old kindly grandmother or something. Well, I'm into that. I'm going to get enlightened, But then he passed away up in the Hoop. Because he was from that part of the world. Oh, it's a beautiful part. The ecological destruction is staggering. Over these last 20, 30 years. But he went and then passed away. And for some reason, after he passed away, I thought, this fellow was, he had a cache anus. So then I went up to where he actually had been, where those people. And in those days, Rawalsall only had one Tibetan temple and a new Sikh gurdwara. And I arrived early in the morning with the bus. I was so tired, I lay down on the floor of this Tibetan gompa, which was wood. And I fell asleep. I had tremendous, lovely dreams. I was covered, absolutely covered with bed bugs. Just covered, just covered. Because it was a wooden floor. And you love that one. But I had the most incredible dreams. So I always felt, I never really saw Karuna per se, but it was like the dreams, because he had been there. And I was a bozo. I hadn't got it all. So I never did meet him. But I had company bed bugs that morning. And I had great dreams while I was there. No, nothing special in that sense. But I never didn't have good company. But I went looking many times, as you know from the book. I've been another few times. And I went up there, to try to be a hermit up there. I didn't have the good fortune, I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gareth.
Thank you so much.
Session.